The beginning of the journey. In 1959, 9 young hikers set out on a winter expedition in the cold and dangerous Ural Mountains. The leader of the group was an experienced student named Igor Dyatlov. All of them were university students and skilled hikers. Their goal was to complete a difficult route through deep snow in order to earn a high certification in mountaineering. At the beginning of the journey, everything seemed normal. They laughed, sang songs, and took photos along the way. During the trip, they even wrote messages to their friends saying, "Our journey is going very well." After several days, the group reached a cold and empty area in the mountains and decided to set up their tent there for the night. This place later became famous because of a mysterious event known as the Dyatlov Pass incident. That night, the weather was extremely cold. Strong winds were blowing, and snow was falling heavily. But the hikers believed it was just another normal winter night during their expedition. They did not know that this night would become the last night of their lives. On the night of February 1st, 1959, the 9 hikers were sleeping inside their tent in the snowy mountains of the Ural Mountains. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, and they had carefully set up their tent on the slope of a mountain. Outside, the temperature was extremely cold, around -30 degrees Celsius, and strong winds were blowing across the mountain. Inside the tent, the hikers were trying to rest after a long day of travel. But sometime during the night, something terrifying happened. For reasons that remain unknown, the hikers suddenly cut their tent open from the inside with a knife. Instead of using the normal entrance, they ripped their way out and ran into the freezing darkness. Even more strange, many of them left the tent without boots, coats, or proper clothing. In temperatures that cold, no experienced hikers would normally do such a thing. It looked as if they had panicked and escaped in extreme fear. Some of them ran toward a nearby forest about 1.5 kilometers away. Others seemed to have tried to return to the tent later, but they never made it back. What exactly scared 9 experienced hikers so badly that they ran into the deadly cold in the middle of the night? No one knows. This mysterious and frightening event later became known around the world as the Dyatlov Pass incident. And what rescuers discovered later made the story even more disturbing. When the hikers did not return from their trip, a search team was sent to the mountains. After several days, rescuers finally reached the area in the Ural Mountains where the group had camped. The first thing they found was the abandoned tent of the group, led by Igor Dyatlov. The scene was disturbing. The tent had been cut open from the inside, confirming that the hikers had escaped in a sudden panic. Their shoes, warm clothes, and supplies were still inside the tent, left behind in the freezing cold. Following the footprints in the snow, rescuers discovered the first 2 bodies under a tree in the nearby forest. They had tried to make a small fire, but eventually froze to death. A few days later, 3 more bodies were found lying between the forest and the tent. It looked as if they had tried to return to the tent, but the cold was too strong. Months later, when the snow melted, the remaining 4 hikers were discovered in a nearby ravine. Their injuries shocked the investigators. One had a severely fractured skull. two had broken ribs as if from a powerful impact. One woman was found without her tongue. Even stranger, some of their clothes were found to contain unusual levels of radiation. There were no signs of a fight, no evidence of another person attacking them, and no clear explanation of what had caused their sudden terror. The case became one of the most famous mysteries in history, known as the Dyatlov Pass incident. To this day, scientists and investigators still debate what really happened that night. Some believe it was a snow avalanche. Others think it could have been a secret military test, while some believe there may have been something unknown in the mountains. But the true reason why 9 experienced hikers ran into the freezing darkness remains a mystery.
The night of the murders.
On the night of November 13th, 1974, something terrible happened in a quiet house in Amityville. The house belonged to the DeFeo family. Inside the home lived 7 people, the parents and their 5 children. To everyone in the neighborhood, they seemed like a normal family. But late that night, the oldest son, Ronald DeFeo Jr., picked up a powerful rifle and began walking through the dark house. One by one, he entered the bedrooms. While his family members were sleeping in their beds, he shot them. The terrible sounds of the gun echoed through the house. In just a short time, 6 members of the family were dead. What made the event even more shocking was that none of the neighbors reported hearing the gunshots, even though the weapon was extremely loud. After the murders, Ronald left the house and later ran into a nearby bar, shouting, "You have to help me! I think my family has been shot." When the police arrived at the house, they discovered a horrifying scene. 6 bodies were lying in their beds. This tragic and mysterious crime later became known as the Amityville Murders. But the strangest part of the story had not yet been revealed.
When the police arrived at the house in Amityville, they immediately realized that something about the crime scene was very strange. Inside the home, they found the bodies of 6 members of the DeFeo family lying face down in their beds. None of them seemed to have struggled or tried to escape. Investigators were confused. Normally, when a loud rifle is fired inside a house, people wake up and try to run or hide. But in this case, every victim was still in their bed, almost as if they had never moved. Even more strange, the police could find no clear signs of a fight inside the house. The weapon used in the murders was a powerful rifle, and the sound should have been extremely loud. Yet none of the neighbors reported hearing gunshots that night. Investigators began asking a very important question. How could 6 people be killed in the same house without anyone waking up or escaping? At first, Ronald DeFeo Jr. told the police that a mysterious man had entered the house and killed his family. But as the investigation continued, the truth slowly began to come out. And what Ronald later confessed shocked everyone. The tragic case soon became known worldwide as the Amityville Murders. But the most disturbing part of the story was still coming. After hours of questioning by the police, the story of Ronald DeFeo Jr. began to change. At first, he claimed that a mysterious man had entered the house and killed his family. But investigators noticed that his story kept changing, and many details did not make sense. Finally, after long interrogation, Ronald confessed to the murders. He admitted that he had used a rifle to kill his parents and his 4 siblings while they were sleeping inside their home in Amityville. But then, he said something that shocked the investigators. Ronald claimed that he had heard voices in the house. According to him, these voices told him to kill his family. He said the voices were inside his head and kept repeating the command again and again. At one point during questioning, he said, "Once I started, I just couldn't stop. The voices were too strong." The police were unsure whether he was telling the truth or trying to avoid punishment. Some believed he was lying, while others thought he might have been mentally unstable. However, the mystery surrounding the house did not end with his arrest. About a year later, a new family moved into the same house, and they soon claimed that strange and terrifying things were happening inside the home. This is why the case of the Amityville murders became even more famous, because the final part of the story made the house one of the most talked about haunted houses in the world. About 1 year after the tragic Amityville murders, a new family moved into the same house in Amityville. The family was led by George Lutz and his wife Kathleen Lutz. They bought the large house at a very low price because of the terrible murders that had happened there. At first, everything seemed normal. But after only a few days, the family said that strange and frightening things began to happen inside the house. They claimed that doors would open and close by themselves. They heard strange footsteps and noises at night. The house sometimes had a terrible smell with no clear source. Green slime-like substance was reported to appear on some walls. George Lutz also said that every night he would wake up at exactly 3:15 a.m., which was believed to be the same time the murders happened. The family said they felt an evil presence inside the house, and the atmosphere became so frightening that they could no longer stay there. After living in the house for only 28 days, the Lutz family suddenly left in the middle of the night and never returned. Their story later became famous around the world and inspired the horror movie The Amityville Horror. To this day, many people still debate the truth. Some believe the haunting stories were real, while others think they were exaggerated or invented. But one thing is certain: the house in Amityville became one of the most famous and mysterious homes in the world.